Should you get the new Stronger With You Parfum? Now, I don't know about you guys, but my immediate answer is like, yeah, because it's only like my favorite fragrance of like all time, Stronger With You. Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? My name is Neve. Welcome back to AROMATIX. So today I want to talk to you guys about the newest release from Stronger With You. But before we talk about the newest release, why don't we talk about the newest to come new release? How about that? There is officially what looks like might be a Middle Eastern exclusive, Stronger With You Sandalwood. It looks like that. And this one is gonna have, believe it or not, a note of sandalwood. It's also gonna have the note of saffron, and it seems like something that's gonna be a much more of a woody and drier take on that whole syrupy style of chestnut DNA. And honestly, I'm not mad at it, but the one thing that I learned about like all of these Middle Eastern exclusives that came from Stronger With You, like for example, this right here, oud, and it says oud right there in the center, or even the amber or amber Middle Eastern exclusive that got released, is that they were okay. I mean, none of them were like, wow, or like show-stopping. The original one still being one of the best ones, if not the actual best one. Intensely also being one of the best ones as well. But I would even personally say that Intensely is not as strong as it used to be, at least in the current batches. Anyways, so now we have Stronger With You Parfum, and I'm here to tell you guys whether or not I think it's worth it and whether or not I like it. So first things first is I love the original Stronger With You, and I personally love all the flankers, but some of which I love a little bit more or less. Here it is. This is a brand new Parfum. Presentation of bottle design looks fantastic, and it kind of came out pretty quickly, and then just all of a sudden out of nowhere. And with this fragrance, you're gonna get a lot of similar notes, and one of the most distinct notes that's gonna be different from the original Stronger With You is going to be that candied and mandarin orange. Note breakdown for Stronger With You Parfum includes mandarin, also includes chestnut, obviously, right? Vanilla. There's also gonna be some smoke, and I think at the top there might be the note of pink pepper if I'm not mistaken. So we have pretty much very similar notes. There's also lavender, and I think there might be the inclusion of cardamom. That doesn't necessarily mean that I smell all of these notes, but I wanna give you guys a factual breakdown as to what they say is in the fragrance. All right, and like I was saying before, it is pink pepper, mandarin, lavender, sage, vanilla, and chestnut. So with initial impression and first spray of this fragrance, you're gonna get something that's pretty rich in scent profile, and actually a little bit smoky, believe it or not. And the combination of the mandarin orange, along with some of that frothy lavender, and the original DNA, which has the note of smoke in the base, is very prominent in this one. It kind of intensifies what used to be in the original DNA and makes it a lot more fruity and playful and gummy. It's kind of like they took the original Stronger With You DNA and they made their little clubbing style of fragrance indicative of not only their advertisements, but also going to be that honeyed and very rich and almost molasses-like opening coming from that mandarin orange. So what you get with this fragrance at the top is something that's not necessarily fresh, but very sweet. It also has this ambery nature to it, coming from that very intensive and honeyed style of mandarin. But the one thing I will say about this that was a little unusual and strange and might even be polarizing for some, especially in the opening, is going to be the intensity of the smoke, at least to my nose. I don't know if other people are really picking up much of that smoke, but I really am. And it's emphasized significantly through that lavender and also the pink pepper. And I think the fact that it has that very intensive, or should I say rich and honeyed style of mandarin, is only emphasized a little bit more so on those full-bodied and deeper and denser base notes like the smoke. Hence the fact that this is a parfum concentration, and the eau de toilette that we get with the original, it's going to be less concentrated in the smoke. It's still there in both, but this one being a little bit more so considering the concentration increases. And I could absolutely sense that. So for the opening, I'm not like the craziest fan, but I'm absolutely in love with that original DNA of Stronger With You, and it's still here. But rather than it going in that same direction of that Stronger With You, the fresh bergamot, a little bit playful and flirty, this one goes directly into something that's a lot richer, more ambery, and sweet overall. And so in that sense, especially when we think of like clubbing and flirty fragrances, we think immediately of very sweet, fruity, flirty fragrances like Ultramalt, right? And in that sense, I can kind of see what they did here. They created something that would be their response or their vein of the clubbing fragrance. It's a Stronger With You Parfum. Maintaining that original DNA from the original, adding something that I personally find it in common with the amber flanker, and then also intensifying some of those citruses or the fruits in a sense that makes it a little bit more candied, if you will. And that's what you end up with here. Something more ambery, also a little bit more smoky and candy while maintaining some of those citruses. But because they ditched the bergamot and went more so for the candied citrus, it does kind of take away any of that freshness that it used to have. I would still say that this is a great fragrance. I personally like the original a little bit more because of versatility, but if you like the Intensely, this is something in between like Intensely meets the original meets Amber. And I think it's really good. First impression with this, I didn't know how I felt. That smoky nature was something a little unusual, but after about 3 to 4 days now, I think I want to personally give this like a good 8.75. I still think that Intensely is maybe a little bit better, but less mature. As intense as Intensely, but also adding another facet, being that candied citrus. So Intensely is a little bit easier to wear because it goes just straight up sweet, 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 and chestnut, whereas this is like sweet, 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 chestnut, and candied orange. So a little bit more testy, a little bit more polarizing, and potentially even a little bit more interesting. I don't think it's gonna surpass Intensely. And I think still for the masses, most people will more than likely still enjoy Intensely. But if you want something with a little citrus kick, something that I would personally say might be a little more interesting, then Stronger With You Parfum. For me, it's an 8.75. I still place Intensely at like a 9.25, and I personally love the original. I think the original is a 10. I do believe that over some time, this will increase in score, just like with Intensely. You guys, when I first got Intensely, I was like, man, this is too strong. And it was like an 8. Then I'd wear it more often. I'd live with it for a little bit longer. And it was like, dude, this is like an 8.75. And then I'd get more compliments, and then my experience would actually get better and better. And I was like, dude, this is like a 9.25. This is really freaking good. And that's kind of how it works with a lot of fragrances as well. Like Dolce & Gabbana Devotion Pour Homme, the new one, for example. That initially started off as like a, you know, like, what is this? Brother, that. But then I swear to God, like by the time I made my video, it was an 8.75. And now for me, it's like a 9.4. It's just so unusual. Long story short, live with your fragrances before you review them and you make your final impression, okay? Because just like fashion, you gotta put it together and you gotta actually try it and see. Well, a little bit different. You gotta experience the fragrance. But a lot of these fragrances, you guys, are designed to transition. Not all of them, and typically speaking with niche, but these definitely do. This one, I can speak for this one for certain. It definitely does. And it depends on the weather, and there's so many factors, but this is a solid 8.75 and very likely to climb up the rank. As of right now, I still like original, absolutely, and Intensely. This one, a couple more wears, and we'll see if it knocks any one of those off. My name's Dave. Thank you for tuning back in AROMATIX. Let me know what you guys think about the new Parfum if you got your nose on it, because you can easily go into like a Nordstrom and check it out. And also, let me know what you guys think about the Sandalwood. I honestly love a good Sandalwood fragrance. There aren't that many good Sandalwood, especially in like the designer realm, that are not necessarily fresh. There are plenty of freshies, but then they give you that pickles vibe, right? This is called Abdussamad Al-Qureshi Sandalwood. Listen, just because you didn't understand what I said and it was like, what did he just say? This is still a great sandalwood fragrance that's more so towards like sandalwood ambers and the creamy and powdery nature of sandalwood without taking it into anything that's acidic, like vinegar smelling. It's just straight up sandalwood and everything else that's nice about it. So this is also a premium for around $180, but I definitely recommend you check that one out. I am looking forward to it. Let me know if you are too. Thank you for tuning back in AROMATIX, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.